What's up, guys? This is Sammy Geek back here with a quick video. Today we're going to do a comparison as promised between the Venu and the Venu SQ. And I have had an opportunity to wear both of these watches for the past few days, and I just wanted to share my thoughts and comments. And I'm going to do this in a couple different ways. Number one, I want to make sure that for the first couple of minutes I just buzz through and kind of cut right to the chase. For those that do not want to watch the whole video, I will get right to the point. And then what I'll do is for the folks that want to stick with me for a little bit more conversation on the smartwatches and how I landed on Garmin and the Venu SQ and so forth, feel free to stick with me for the rest of the video. Hopefully this way I end up with all thumbs up and no thumbs down. Thanks, guys, I appreciate that. And if you have time, like I said, stick with me and check out my other videos. I did mention, I actually reviewed some Fitbits recently, the Versa 2, the Versa 3, the Sense, and so forth, and came back to the Garmin's. So without further ado, let's push these aside and show you guys. I'm just gonna kind of move my wrist around slow here so you can get an opportunity to see the difference. Starting with the number one difference is the Venu SQ, which is on the right, is a little bit thinner and a little bit lighter. So some might argue it actually is a little bit more comfortable, but if I was gonna rate the Venu SQ a 10 on the comfort level, I would say the Venu, which is on the left, is probably an 8. Next up, I would say screen. Clearly the screen on the left is an AMOLED and it is definitely brighter. It is definitely, the pixels are much more dense, and it is definitely a better screen. Hands down, it is a huge difference, I see at least. On the right, we've got LCD. I believe that is about 280 by 280 megapixel. On the left, I believe it's 360 by 360 or somewhere in that range. But it is definitely, wearing both these watches, it is clearly noticeable. I would say if we called the Venu a 10 on the scale of 1 through 10, 10 being best, if this was a 10, I would say the Venu is probably a 5 or 6, the Venu SQ rather, 5 or 6. And so just to show you guys that, what I'm going to do is send a text message here, and I'm going to say test. I've tried this a few times. So you're about to see a text message pop in, and you'll see on the left-hand side, the font is going to be larger, and the name Joe Smith is going to be dense, more dense. You can see it's still totally readable on the other side. And let's see if I can scan up. Look at the responses here as well. Look at the size difference. It's really interesting because the watch on the right is actually a 1.3 inch display, and the watch on the left is 1.2. So it's really, it's interesting because of course it's a diagonal measurement here, a circular measurement here, or across I should say. But as you can see, I have both of the displays have the always on display, so you can kind of see the difference. And actually this has a little bit chunkier numbers over here, which is interesting. So personal preference, but the pixels are much more dense on the left. So again, that is a huge difference between the two, I see. And the third difference for me, and kind of the actually there's two more differences for the folks that only have a couple minutes to stick with me today. The next difference is the look. Clearly, the one on the left is a more premium look. So the difference here is about $350 versus $250. So if you have the extra $100 to spend, what you're going to get is a more premium design. I feel I'm liking the Venu personally over the SQ because I like that it'll go with a sport coat, or I can dress it up with a leather band, and I think it's going to give me the premium feel that I'm looking for. So I'm definitely seeing the value in the additional dollars spent on the watch on the left, the Venu. And then lastly, battery life. Because this one has an AMOLED display versus LCD display of the SQ, you're going to get the most power efficient display that is available in the market. And what that results in is a little extra battery life, even though they're both always on display. So far I'm seeing, I got to do some more testing, but so far I'm seeing that I'm getting about 2 days out of this one. I could probably squeeze about 2.5, but for sure 2. And I'm getting closer to 2.5, 3 days out of this. So I think I can edge, if I'm careful, probably get 3 days out of that watch. So guys, that's probably the difference. The $100 for me, is worth it, but you'll have to ask yourself, which one do you like better? Do you like the rectangular design? Do you like the circular design? This one also comes in a sort of a matte black, so if you like the black color, you could get a black watch here and then do the face off that way as well. So for me, I liked the I don't really like a blingy watch, but I also don't like the flat black as much, so I wanted to sort of split the difference. Now I can change out and put on some cool bands and some leather bands here. But bottom line, both awesome watches, guys. You cannot go wrong with either one of these watches, 100%. I promise you, after trying these things. So for those that want to stick with me a little bit longer, I'm going to move the boxes back down, give my arm a break here, and I'm going to talk to you guys. So where I came from, if you've watched some of my previous videos, I've spent a lot of time hunting for smartwatches. Over the past 6 to 8 months or longer, I've pretty much recircled back to just about every Samsung watch out there, just about every Fitbit watch out there, and then circled back with the Garmin. So I actually had the Garmin Venue at one point. I actually bought it when it first came out, which wasn't that long ago. And I was trying another Garmin at the time, and it was the Transflective standard display, and the battery life was just rock star. So I decided that I didn't want to go back to an AMOLED, because I've had AMOLED forever through Samsung and Fitbits and so forth, and Fitbit had a nice bright screen, so I just was like, I don't know about that. I've been there and done that. So fast forward to recently, after trying all the Samsungs, I had an opportunity to retry the Samsung app and retry Samsung Health, and then retry Fitbit and the Fitbit app, and then retry Garmin. Out of all of the differences, out of all the three, I found Garmin to be the most useful and the easiest to look at, and actually the most data for kind of the lifestyle, health and fitness, your daily activities, your sleep tracker and so forth. It just seemed to edge out everyone else. Samsung was there, but their watches are just packed with features. There's just so much going on in their watches that I sort of decided I was going to give up on Samsung for a while, just because I don't use all the features. I use a timer, I use smartwatch, I look at text messages and notifications when they come in, I run workouts, and that's about it. I don't need to talk on my watch. I don't need 50 different apps available that I'm going to just use on my cell phone anyway. So congratulations Samsung for having awesome watches. I love their watches. They're just not for me at the moment. And then Fitbit, that's a whole nother story, guys. I mean, I created other videos on that one. You guys can take a look at those. But Fitbit, I think, is they're just cutting more and more features out as they continue to develop their watches, and they continuously try and charge their customers for additional features after buying the watch. And personally, I don't appreciate that. You're going to go out and you're just going to spend over $300 on a watch, and then they're going to try to charge you for $10 a month so you can see more information on their apps, and then they're not going to allow you to put music on their watch, and they're going to make you pay $5 to $10 per month for Pandora, which a lot of people don't use Pandora. Or Deezer, I believe, is the second one. So Deezer is great. I don't mind Pandora myself, and I actually have the $5 subscription of it, but I just don't like the fact that they make me do it. So I do like the fact that Garmin uses Spotify. Obviously, Spotify seems to be the king when it comes to that. But so again, I've got Spotify now. I've got the health app, which I prefer. And then there's one more factor. Again, it's the ease of use of the watch. Now, I did like Fitbit for that reason. Fitbit was really easy to use, which was fantastic. Straight and to the point, timers and the clocks and things. They're just there and easy. Garmin is a little bit different to run than your other watches. When you get into the menus and things like this, in your, some people they just don't find that quite as intuitive. I haven't set up my shortcuts yet and stuff. So, Samsungs are pretty easy to use. Fitbit are the easiest to use. The Garmin's can, for the first couple days, be confusing if you're not used to the Garmin. But when you get used to the Garmin, it is really easy to use, and I find it just awesome. It's really easy to start a workout. The GPS locks on in a split second, and everything's there. I mean, the timers are just really quick and easy. Everything's there, and if you press and hold this, I'll show you. You can get right into this little quick launch menu, and that's where you can see your timer, where's my phone, and your music, and there's your credit card for Garmin Pay and so forth. This one's the same way. We can get in our quick launch menu here. Obviously it's in a square screen, but so far, you know, I'm digging the Garmin platform as far as their entire ecosystem goes. So their app, I think, is awesome. I think their smartwatches are awesome. Right now, the transflective display, which is most of their other watches, these are the only two, as I mentioned, sort of LCD and AMOLED display. So if you like transflective, if you're an outdoors person and you don't work out indoors as much as, say, I do, you live in a warmer climate where you can run all year, or you spend a lot of time outdoors, these may not be the watches for you. You may prefer the transflective display, because transflective is powered by light, essentially, and when you're outdoors, it's very bright, and in my opinion, I think it just smokes these standard LCD types of displays. And then, of course, the battery power. You can get 5, 6, 7 days out of a Garmin with a transflective display. So the other thing I don't like is, for me, this is kind of a side note, but we do have a very young boy who he's 14 months now, and so he likes to touch the cell phones, cell phones and smartwatches. He likes to try to drag his fingers across them, and as you can see, I've got them turned off. So the other transflective displays you can lock, but you have to manually lock it. You can't just always have it set like this to where, you know, you can't really touch it. So if you want to turn it on, you need to double tap or hit the side button. So usually he's not double tapping and turning it on. If he does, then I can just wait a second for it to shut off. But for whatever reason, it's just easier to lock. It's just something, a side note that I found. So between the two, again, after the face-off here, I'm actually going to be, sadly, I'm going to be sending back the Venu SQ. I'll be sending this back to Garmin. And I did pay for this, of course, with my own money, but I also paid for this one as well. So I'm going to be sending back this, and the winner is going to be the Garmin Venu. I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to keep rocking it for a little while. We'll see. I'm definitely not going to go back to Fitbit. That is a guaranteed 100%. You will not see me create another video on Fitbit, but I may definitely look back at Samsung as well, and I will definitely be watching for the Venu Part 2 if they launch a Venu 2 or something to that aspect. And I don't think that will happen until probably next year, probably at least a year from now. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoy this video. If you have any questions, definitely drop them below. I try to respond to everybody, as you guys know. If you like the video, thumbs up, and you know the whole routine. If you want to watch some of my future videos, I would love it if you guys subscribe. That would be fantastic. Hopefully you guys are having a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.